as we start our lesson 4, I just want to remind you to watch these videos and do exercises, the takeaways at the end of each lesson at your own pace. And what this means is we don't want to rush through it. Sometimes that could mean you want to listen to the video at the same time. Very often, I know from my clients as well as for myself, what is true is we want to go through the material the quickest we can, want to absorb it so fast that we can get full benefits from it. But that is further fueling our nervous system, fueling our danger signal. It's feeding into that brain's responsive pattern. So as we start section day 4, just want to remind you that. And today we're gonna right now talk about how fear is fueling your pain. And I want to share that with you. Sometimes that may feel a little bit uncomfortable. I know for me, that was the case when I first started healing, when I started this journey. And what I want to promise you is that it leads to so much freedom. The thing that, it's keeping your brain alive isn't what's really happening in your back, in your body, in the area that you're feeling the symptoms, the chronic pain. It's really what's happening in your mind. So I love talking about if you had a small child, if you had a toddler, how is that, what lessons we can take from that. And if you ever saw a small child fall down when they were taking their first steps, there's this magical moment right before they hit the ground when they look around to see how we as adults react before they decide how they should react. And if you gasp and look around to see, in a panic, they start wailing. And if you calmly say, oops, you okay? They pop right back and they keep playing, they keep walking. So our pain response works exactly the same way. Every time pain shows up, you have the same moment of choice. Am I going to react with fear or with calm confidence? And here's what I see happening to so many of the incredible women I work with. When the pain shows up, we immediately think, oh no, it's happening again. And that fear floods the system. And that leads to the brain thinking or getting into that protective pattern where this is seen as, oh, she's scared, this must be dangerous, and then we feel more pain. So it's this endless loop where our fear of whether that's an activity, whether that's what we felt in the body, that fear leads to our pain, right? And it's never ending loop where pain initially feeds into the fear. That fear leads to more pain, more feeling of the symptoms. It's really an endless loop where one feeds into another. So here, this is another truth that I've learned during my healing. Fear is really the fuel for chronic pain. When we remove the fuel, the fire goes out. So when I talk about fear, you might think, but I'm not afraid of my pain. I'm just frustrated with it. And I want to tell you that frustration is fear. Despair is fear. That overwhelming feeling of, I cannot take this anymore, is fear as well. So fear shows up in so many disguises, right? It could, it's a worry. What if this gets worse? It's a frustration. I'm so sick of dealing with this. Despair. This will never get better. Anger. Why is this happening for me, to me? Sorry, not for me, to me. And catastrophizing. I'll never be able to play with my kids again. So all of these emotions are under the same big umbrella of fear, and they send the same message to our brain. This pain is dangerous and bad. So your brain is like a friend who remembers every single thing you've ever said. Remember, I've mentioned those post-it notes, those notes our brain takes all the time. It's really taking those notes on how we react to the pain. So every time we say, ow, when you stand up, every time we brace, before moving, every time we think, here we go again, when the pain starts, and every time we change our plans because of pain, our brain thinks this is dangerous. I better keep sending the same warning signals to keep her safe. So the story that changed my perspective around it is one morning when I was helping my daughter get ready for school, I bent down to pick up her backpack. And because my chronic back stories around my back, I felt that pain. And my immediate response, my immediate thought was, great, now that's it. I cannot do anything the whole day. I'm useless. I can't even pick up this light backpack without my body failing me. So when I caught myself at that moment while doing this work, I realized that I was talking to my brain like my back was made of glass. And no wonder it was trying to protect me with the pain signals. So I started trying something different. I took a breath, and said to myself, my back is strong. This pain is just my brain being overly protective. I am safe. This backpack is not dangerous. It didn't make the pain disappear instantly. Let's be frank and honest here. But something shifted. I felt less afraid, less defeated. And over time, as I kept practicing this response, my brain started to trust that I really was okay. And I want to also mention sometimes it's almost like we can notice what's happening and we can start responding the way we want to respond. And sometimes we don't. And that's okay. We are here to learn how to reprocess the pain pathways. And part of that learning is accepting that as we learn about these lessons, as we practice, sometimes we'll practice and sometimes the practice may look a little bit different. And that's okay. Like we're not failing here. We are here to learn the new way of breaking free from chronic pain. So why so many of us are stuck with the pain, right? Is we make our mood, our whole day, and our sense of hope really dependent on how much pain we are in. And we start looking at a good day or a good pain day as maybe I'm finally getting better. And bad day, we assign that meaning of I'll never get my life back. And this is what keeps us track. When our happiness depends entirely on our pain levels, we're giving pain all the power of our lives. And I want to talk a little bit about outcome independence because that's something that was so hard for me to learn and practice during my healing journey. And this is really about looking at success of our journey, regardless of whether we're having pain or no pain. So I want to pose that question and take a moment to pause the video right after it and reflect on it. What if a success was about feeling okay with yourself regardless of what your pain is doing? And this may sound very impossible right now, but just imagine having a pain flare and thinking, this is temporary. I'm still okay. Having plans without constantly worrying about how you feel. Your mood not being hijacked by your pain levels. And feeling proud of yourself for living your life instead of letting pain. So this is really outcome independence. And for me, as I've mentioned, it was really challenging to practice because how can you practice this? How can you be independent of an outcome? Obviously, you want to be pain-free and really not pretending here that the pain doesn't hurt. It's about refusing to let pain almost be like the boss of our emotional life. So and through the practice, we start becoming aware of our responses to pain. So when pain shows up, really want to practice and notice what is our first thought. How does our body react? Do we tense up, hold our breath? What story do you tell yourself about what this means? How does it affect your mood for the rest of the day? And as part of the practice, I'd like you to try a new response. Take a slow, deep breath and remind yourself, this is my brain being protective. I'm actually safe. Choose to do something nurturing for yourself instead of spiraling into the fear. And let me know how you're doing with that. Let me know in the comments below, please. So a couple of things I want you to remember is fear is the fuel that keeps the pain alive. So when we no fear, no persistent pain signals, fear comes under that big umbrella, under many disguises. So frustration, worry, despair, all count as fear. Your brain is always listening. How you respond to pain teaches your brain what you do best, and we have that ability to change that response. And the outcome independence is really freedom. So your worth isn't determined by your pain levels when we start looking at our day as as that day overall versus, assigning it meaning, whether it was a good day because we had no pain or a bad day where we had no symptoms. And I want you to remember this, that, you're not at mercy of the pain. Every time the pain shows up, you have a choice about how you respond. You can rewire that response. And with practice, you can teach your brain that you're safe, you're strong, and capable, regardless of the sensations you're currently experiencing. And just want to remind you that learning to respond differently to pain takes practice. It takes time. Be patient with yourself as you develop this new skill. Every small shift in how you relate to the pain is just a victory worth celebrating. So thank you so much for being here today, and I'll see you in tomorrow's lesson.